Reviews. I'm Corey.
I'm Daryl. Wait.
And-
Am I Daryl?
Other way around.
Well, for this episode, we kind of are mixed matching.
Indeed, because we did something a little different.
Indubitably.
And what did we do?
We reviewed our records, but I gave him a recommendation and he gave me a recommendation and we listened to them.
Indeed, and this is what we got.
Yeah, Uncle Acid, not Aunt Acid.
And Corey gave me Soundgarden. What is this album even called, Corey?
Louder Than Love.
Louder Than Love, and this is
Bloodlust.
Indeed. So yeah, we decided to switch it up a tad and
Isn't that
review
rad?
something. Do something a little different this time. And Corey, I'll let you take the stage first. What did you think of Bloodlust and Uncle Acid?
I thought it was pretty solid. Pretty good, solid. Listened to it a couple of times. Say the track listing because I don't see it anywhere in the back, which is weird.
I believe it's on the front.
Oh, I guess it is on the front.
But this one's actually a cool little
It's a pretty-
splattered edition.
Pretty groovy. Uncle Acid and the Dead Beats.
Indeed.
Side 1 is I'll Cut You Down. Track 2. Sorry. This is gonna be like live basically.
Yeah.
And I'm just an
E.
it. Anyway, the second song is Death's Door. Over and over again in Curse in the Trees.
Indeed.
And then we go to side 2, track 1, I'm Here to Kill You, 13 Candles, Ritual Knife, and Weathered Hand of Evil.
Yes, indeed.
Very, very solid album.
Yeah, what did you think of the overall of the album? Since it's a little different, but also it's very easy to listen to if you're already into like old '60s and '70s rock and
Yeah, it
roll.
definitely had like that old school vibe with the '60s, like Psych.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoyed the song Ritual Knife. Thought it was very solid.
That's a good one.
I also like the I'm Here to Kill You is another good one.
That one's sick.
13 Candles was a very catchy one. The opening track too, I'll Cut You Down, was it's a really good solid song to start off the album. Again, gets you hyped and put in the mood for the rest of the album.
Indeed.
What's up, Elvis?
So what's does it say the year on the back?
Recorded
13.
and mixed by Slaughterhouse, Cambridge between November 2010 and March 2011. So I assume the album probably came out in 2011.
Yeah, I think it was 2012 to 13ish is when it came out, I think. So, but okay. Well, what would you say you would rate this here album in particular in your hands?
I'd probably rate it like a 7.5 out of 10.
7.5 out of 10.
Very solid. Very solid.
Very solid.
With a Z. Give it still 2 thumbs up.
Indeed, it's a great album. All right, now moving on to Soundgarden.
I do have to ask before you get this started, what made you choose this album for me?
Just because I know, you're into like Black Sabbath and obviously the Beatles, and then if you just combine them both,
Yeah,
it's just
sure.
kind of that vibe. And I just figured, if you get outside the box and it's a little more accessible kind of rock and roll music, if you're into like pretty much anything, you probably are gonna dig that. But there is a lot of cons to Uncle Acid from other people, but that's up to them to decide. And I think they're a great band. And after I review this, we'll swap and we'll review them ourselves and give our take. So this is Soundgarden once again, Louder Than Love. And if you know me, which you probably don't, I fucking hate the 90s with a burning passion.
Which is weird because I probably dress right now like I just walked out of my closet in 1994.
Now I will say everything was great in the 90s, and I think I'm just
Especially the music.
bitter because the 90s with music could have gone up. Instead, it created bands like Nickelback and Creed and fucking Stank or whatever their name is, and then Limp Bizkit and all that started happening.
All great bands.
Yeah, I was always kind of almost afraid to listen to like this kind of shit because I didn't want to like it. So it was very interesting to step outside of my comfort zone, that's for sure. And the reason I'm saying this is because like this Uncle Acid's like a little more accessible. Like if you like Black Sabbath, you're definitely more than likely gonna like Uncle Acid. But if you like Soundgarden, there's a higher chance that person probably likes Disturbed. Whereas the person that likes Disturbed probably won't like Uncle Acid. That's just kind of how I see it.
Wow.
Doesn't mean it's right, but that's just always how my brain works. Chin piercings and fucking studded cross pants equals Disturbed in the 90s. So I'll go through the track listing. First we'll say, when did this come out?
1989.
1989, so it just missed the 90s, and I could definitely tell that it was not. I was really surprised. I'll say that I was really surprised because I went in with an open mind and still a hating ass fucking bitch mind, because that's what I am. I hate on everything.
Indeed.
So side one is Ugly Truth, Hands All Over, Gun, Power Trip, Get on the Snake, Full on Kevin's Mom. Which I thought that song was fucking crazy.
It song's really
I was like, I
interesting.
hated the name because I was like, this is just a weird, like this is like a throwaway song. But it came on and I was like, all right,
It's definitely kind of a goofy song.
Side two, Loud Love, I Awake, No Wrong, No Right, Uncovered, Big Dumb Sex, Full On, Reprise. So, you know, I didn't expect it to be as doomy as it was. I would say side one was like definitely more what I can remember than side two. Like Gun and Power Trip back to back was sick. Get on the Snake was pretty heavy. So yeah, I was really surprised. Like I didn't think it was gonna be as doomy, because I know Tim was always like, dude, you gotta listen to House in Chains and Soundgarden, they're doomy. And I was just like, no.
Yeah, they're great, man.
Because the Yarling, man, it's like this dude, his voice is fantastic, and it seemed like the later they got on, it's like the more he caught on to like that kind of style of singing, which I have no idea where it came from, except for maybe Iron Butterfly. But for some reason, I can tolerate Iron Butterfly versus like a Pearl Jam or.
If you like Iron Butterfly, you like Hootie and the Blowfish.
No, that's not a good comparison. So yeah, this album, again, I was surprised. And I went into it like more ready to talk shit about it than to say good things. So honestly, I'd rate this album an 8. It's solid. It's each song kept my attention. Again, there was no Yarling. Is this like a special edition, or is it just black?
It's just black. It's
Black.
This is the specific versions of the 2015 like reissue.
Yeah, 2015 reissue.
Which is crazy. It's already that old.
Right, and that's, I mean, pretty much
Yeah.
considered vintage almost.
Daryl's cats got a little hungry of the rapping.
Yeah, for some reason they just decided like the 10 seconds we were outside to just knock it over and try to eat it. So
Yeah, luckily I had it in the sleeve and it didn't really do any damage.
indeed. So yeah, I'd say it's an 8, man. The
Solid.
song Gun was probably my favorite.
Yeah, it's honestly like probably like up there like top 10 of my favorite Soundgarden songs.
Which is really ironic, because I remember when I texted him and I said, dude, this song Gun is actually pretty sick, and that's was his response. So I guess our
Yeah,
brains.
if I
work
make a
together.
playlist and like on Spotify, Gun's like always on my playlist.
Yeah. So again, Chris Cornell.
R.I.P.
Fantastic vocalist. I really get to like really pay attention, because you know I've heard the songs, fucking Black Hole Sun, and that's all I can remember a name of. So
Yeah.
it's hard to like base a band off that one song.
And like songs like Black Hole Sun, like which I mean I like that song, but at the same time I'll admit it's overplayed. It's kind of like Led
Of course.
Zeppelin, the Stairway to Heaven, or like the Eagles, Hotel California. It's
Yeah.
played to death, and it's like a song
It's hard
you
to
wanna skip.
appreciate. It's hard to like sit there and appreciate songs. So it was cool to hear shit that I had like knew I wasn't going to hear, and the fact that it hit right before like the grunge really kind of set in, made it pretty solid. And I wish they would have stayed more on this path and like stayed a little more of the doomier, and Chris would have sang a little more clearly. Because again, in my ears, it's like he sang with a Jarl, just a slight one, nothing like the Pearl Jam guys, which is his shit.
My fave.
But yeah, I give it an 8.
Yeah, and I honestly chose that album.
I
That
know, why'd you choose this?
particularly because I was going between that album, the one I chose, obviously, and their first album, and I was like, no, I think I kind of like this one a little bit better. And I think you'd appreciate it a little bit more, because I felt like it was like a little bit more like polished than their first album. But I think you'd like their first album too. But I knew their first few albums in their earlier EPs are kind of more like heavier, more like hard rock than was grunge.
Which again, and like that's why it's like I feel so bitter. It's because those dudes could have like re-pioneered this shit and kept, the whole genre. Like Uncle Acid could have been in that. When they came out with this, they could have been up there with them because they nail every one of those pieces. So yeah, again, solid 8, cool choice. Probably realistically won't go out on my own and listen to it again.
Yeah.
But if it came on, I'd be like, I can listen to this. So yeah, listenable album. Cool, sick riffs, like the fuzz. Definitely kind of like a master of reality fuzz to the guitars. So
the funny thing is that album actually have an original like long box version of the CD is still sealed.
Oh shit!
I found a Irvington vinyl like
damn.
a long.
I was gonna say it was Jordan Smith used to hook us up at
Yeah.
Half Price Shacks.
That was Irvington vinyl was just like on a shelf, like still sealed, brand new, opened. Like of course I'm not gonna open it.
Of course, and that probably goes for something.
It probably is brand still in like the long ass boxes they used to have back in like the early 90s, like late 80s.
Damn. Well, so we're gonna trade back now, back to our chosen paths, and we'll go over it. Do you want to take the ropes, or do you want me to continue?
I can go if you want me to go.
Yeah, go for it.
I guess we'll continue to talk about Soundgarden, which is always a good thing, because we all love Soundgarden, right? But I mean, I agree. I agree with Derek. I probably wouldn't give it a 10 either. I'd probably honestly give it an 8 too, maybe an 8.5. But if I'm gonna round down, probably like an 8 out of 10.
I'm gonna round down.
It's a good album. I think it's solid. I mean, I'm probably biased because I love all their albums, honestly, all the Soundgarden's albums.
Right. I feel like, not to cut you off, but I feel like that's why it's like easy to give you music, is because you don't really hate much music.
Yeah, I mean, I listen like a little bit of anything and everything, and I'll give anything a chance.
For me, it's like, dude, I just have such a niche, But even hip hop, I mean, Coolio, Tupac, Biggie, Easy, and NWA, like you listen to that shit.
I listen to that stuff.
But anything past that, I'm there with you, and I think a lot of people are. So anyway,
we're gonna listen to Lady Gaga and Miley Cyrus next week.
No, because I don't have that on vinyl. If he did, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Actually, I'd be like, not surprised.
Yeah. And back to Louder Than Love. I mean, like I said, Gun is an awesome song. Power Trip, awesome. Fallen Kevin's Mom is kind of a goofy song, but it's
goofy, but yeah, it's pretty
Loud
good.
Love is probably the biggest song off of this album, I would say. Big Dumb Sex, Guns N' Roses even covered that song on the Spaghetti incident.
Yeah. I do remember that actually.
And it's a solid album. R.I.P. Chris Cornell. I hope eventually they'll be able to release whatever they had for the latest album before he died.
Yeah.
So hopefully that gets situated.
Indeed.
Me and Derek are going to start a Soundgarden cover band. We call it Television Garden.
Is that the opposite of sound?
I thought it was. In my head at the time it was, but I don't think it is. I forget I said that.
Okay.
Just insert the clip of me like eating a corn dog.
Oh shit, you want that in there? Alright.
Nah, I'm JK.
Alright, so back to it. This actually, it's hard to say which Uncle Acid album was my favorite, but this one was definitely the first one that got me hooked on the name. So it's really strange because the band Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats, like that's a weird name. So for years, I would skip their shit because I hated the name, and I don't know why. I was just like, it sounds goofy. It sounded like super made up, super just like didn't care. You know what I mean? It's kind of like no disrespect to Frank Zappa, but it's like I can't get into Frank Zappa because it's like he made like joke music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like Frank Zappa.
But he rips. He's very talented.
Yeah,
he's a legend. All of that, but it's like it's hard to listen to him because he doesn't take it serious. And I don't know why that bothers me.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, I like Frank Zappa, but he's also got like so many freaking albums. It's like hard to kind of get into it.
So that's kind of like what strayed me away from Uncle Acid, but I can't even remember the first song I heard. It was probably Death's Door.
It's a good song.
That's like that's pretty much like their hit or whatever. Yeah, so I'll Cut You Down, Death's Door over and over again, Cursing the Trees. Dude, Cursing the Trees is super sick. I'm Here to Kill You, 13 Candles, Ritual Knife, and Withered Hand of Evil. So pretty much all these songs are like, if I'm like, damn, I want to listen to Uncle Acid and get inspired to write music, it's like one of these, or off their later album after this, I like to dig into. But I'd say 13 Candles is like what really sparked me to just like want to make music myself.
Would you say the Uncle Acid band inspired this Uncle Acid song that you wrote?
They definitely did. Although the song Uncle Acid is actually, it's a made up story, but it's like about this dude that basically has like a community and he doses them with acid and they all like look up to him like an uncle or like a father or something, and we just call him Uncle Acid. So I'm assuming that's kind of like where they got the name Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats is probably something similar to like that, because these dudes are really into like propaganda, you know, radio, old 60s shit, you know, like just the back of the cover, like this is what I hear or see when I listen to them, just like a dude in the shadows kind of walking, if you can see it.
You know, it reminds me of like an image of like Jack the Stripper by Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, exactly, and that's pretty much them, because that's like all their shit. It's like they make you feel like uneasy and shit. Their shows live are fucking awesome. They're just silhouettes and they have a cool little backdrop playing like.
How many times have you seen them live?
I've seen them 3 or 4 times. Saw them with Graveyard. I saw them with Danova, which we're playing with Danova, so that's a milestone for us. I seen them with, what else have I seen them with? I don't remember who else I saw them with, but they're really sick live, and a lot of people gripe because, you know, like the vocals that you're hearing, it's like real old sounding and like, you know, boosty and just like driven, crunch driven vocals, but when they're live they don't do that. It's just these two dudes harmonizing, and a lot of people don't like that. They want to hear like the crunch harmonizing, which is like sometimes that's hard to do live. And I always thought it was cool too, because none of them use their real names, like ever. It's impossible to find them. It's possible to get a hold of them. So all about Uncle Acid's atmosphere, and like that's why I kind of chose them, because I figured, you know, like this literally sounds like the Beatles with the Black Sabbath playing. This is like the best I can put it, but
yeah,
really like they're in their own realm. Like to me, Uncle Acid's in their whole own realm. So to me, this album is a 9, and that's probably pretty, you know, unrealistic.
No, I mean,
but it's like, if you heard their first album compared to this, because that was the cool thing. It's like they've been around since MySpace. Like they were putting their music on like bulletins, and people would like, that's how people were finding them.
That's right.
So their first album, like it reminds me.
2005 status.
I think it came out like, yeah, probably pretty close to that. But it reminds me of like when me and Pop Tart were like recording Black Magic Nights and shit, like in the corner of his apartment. Because some songs you can hear windshield wipers, and some songs you can hear his kids screaming or dropping something or whatever. So like their first album, it's like you hear like the papers like flipping when he's like reading the lyrics,
very raw,
and like dropping shit, but it still sounds real sick. And then people caught on, Rise Above signed them. This was pretty much that album where they got to go into a studio with studio money or label money and do something sick, and they're still kicking ass and they're doing great, and I'm stoked to hear another album from them. So again, 9 out of 10, 2 thumbs up. Soundgarden album. Where's the Soundgarden album?
I think your cat.
Soundgarden album.
The record player.
8 out of 10 for me. 2 thumbs up as well. Corey's sticking with a 7.5. What do you think would make this better to you? You think?
Probably if Eddie Vedder guessed it on it. It's a solid album. I'm gonna give it more listens. I'm gonna give more of their stuff more listens. I mean, I liked Uncle Acid. I've heard some stuff before.
Yeah.
But I really need to like dive deeper into their catalog.
Indeed. Yeah, and I think you'll enjoy diving deeper. So.
Yeah, easy for me to say.
We well. Yeah, solid choices.
And I'm also glad that I was able to see Soundgarden live and Chris Cornell live by himself before,
Indeed.
you know, unfortunately what happened to him.
Yeah. So I recommend Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats' Bloodlust.
And I recommend Soundgarden everything, but Louder Than Love as well.
Indeed. Shaka Zulu.
Shaka Zulu.